I think you were there last year, Jitex.
Yes.
It's been 1 year. How you are seeing this market and what solutions that you are bringing in?
Well, so SafeNet has had some presence at Jitex for just about 10 years now. For the past 3 years, we've been present on via our distributors on their stands, so namely Starlink and Conga. And given the momentum we've got, the growth we've experienced over the past few years, last year we had a 34% year-over-year growth in the Middle East and Africa region headed from Dubai. We've decided that this year we would go a step further and have our own stand. So that's a big change for us. And very much in line with our growth in terms of revenue, in terms of growing the team and our presence, in terms of the channel as well. We've relaunched or launched a new partner program on the 1st of June of this year, so that's a big change as well. So we're getting more channel-centric as well, certainly for this region and globally. In terms of new solutions, we haven't really this year, as opposed to last year, launched a new product as such, but we've consolidated our offering in significant ways. To give you an example, we used to have platforms to secure any type of data across server platforms, and with encryption and key management built in. And then another area where we're also doing key management for any KMIP compliant solution out there. We have lots of partnerships with vendors like HP or NetApp or IBM and others in that space. Plus for our own solution for storage level security, virtualized environments and so on. And we've consolidated those, whereby now the same central management crypto/key manager solution can really take control of all our solutions, including that server level security platform.
Okay, and now how many products you have? You are saying that consolidation is up.
Well, so we have a lot of products. So we have a very wide offering, but then again very focused on data security. Right, so you can look at it, to summarize it. One is we offer data encryption.
Right.
Two is we offer crypto management/key management.
Yes.
Right. And three, we've been lucky enough to be leading the Gartner quadrant on user authentication for 3 years now, and we are the leader this year per the Gartner report. So these are the three areas. So to give you an even higher level view, we secure sensitive data anywhere and the access to it. That's what we do. That translates into pretty unique and wide portfolio of solutions, because the way we do it, we embed security with data. And to be able to do that, you need to have a solution which can address storage environments of any kind, server level environments, virtualized environments, networks, applications, and then the management aspect that I was talking about for all of those, and third party, and then the user level access control and strong authentication. And we offer all of them. So it's, like I said, it's a very broad, but then again very focused offering, pretty unique that we have at SafeNet.
So out of these three segments, three sophisticated areas of security solutions, authentication, key management,
and data encryption.
Data encryption. I think encryption is something which might be growing more.
So you're right. So actually, if you look globally and even in the region, it's true that on the key management and transaction security, as well as authentication, is slightly more commoditized than the encryption and key management aspect. But that aspect, which is more of a solution type approach and more of a holistic approach to security across your data center to secure all sensitive data within and networks, you're right, this has the biggest potential and the fastest growth, because data breaches have become more and more common in the region, more and more exposed. In 2012, I think the Aramco breach really triggered a new era in the way the region has been looking at security. And 8 out of 10, for example, based on a survey we conducted in the Middle East IT security professionals, they do admit that their security strategies has been influenced by the growth of those data breaches.
Okay.
So that really has evolved a lot.
Okay. Virtualization is right. Everywhere these days we are seeing that server is getting virtualized, your data center is getting virtualized, your front end, consumer devices, your desktops are getting virtualized. Another way, if you look at the security, the SDN things or software defined data centers, those are making the things bit tricky, bit complex also. So security has to match with those SDN things because you are, you need to software defined networks, right? Where you are not thinking about that technology can go to this extent. Evolution can happen in this extent as well. So what is the situation there where SafeNet is playing in SDN environment or SDDC data center environment in defined things?
Yeah. Well, so that's a very interesting point you're making because it's true that virtualization has been.
You need to go along with the flow.
Yeah. So it's gone from being very physical.
Right.
And by the way, security was very perimeter-centric as well.
Yeah.
And when you talk to, again, IT security professionals in the region, while they do still see a lot of investment and admit that they're focusing a lot of investment in perimeter security, but then again, it's not enough.
Right.
So, more than 30% of them, again, according to our surveys, which are all online, admit that firewalls, perimeter security is still relevant but not enough. You need to have another layer of security. And what you just said has just made this even more obvious because as you move away from physical environments and you go to virtualized or software defined, you need to shift your security, which again as SafeNet we typically embed with the data itself. Well, if you were doing that at physical level, we need to be able to also do it at virtualized level or application level as well, which is typically the tightest, when you go to the application layer. And we can do all these things. So, whereas before it was very much about securing, not to say, as organizations were going beyond the perimeter to secure the breach, as we like to say at SafeNet, so that if the perimeter is breached, which happens a lot, you have another layer thanks to the data-centric security. Whereas before it was just on the storage or the database or file server, well now it has to go into VM or even cloud environments or application level in order to keep up with the evolution of IT and the way the data centers are designed nowadays. You have a lot of before, for instance, you still had a lot of organizations in the region with no disaster recovery sites. Now most of them either have one or are building one. Most of those are either as you define or completely or to a large extent virtualized. How do you keep track of the data in those environments? It's very difficult because it's not tied to a physical environment anymore.
Right.
And unless you have the right tools to do that with a central management and capacity to reach out to that data regardless, then your life is going to be a bit difficult to keep your data secure even though the breach happens.
Right. Authentication, encryption are two things are going to play a bigger role in going forward in those environments because you never know who is using what. So authentication or encryption are, from the security perspective, it's encryption will be the number one market driver. Another will be authentication. So how do you find yourself as SafeNet as a company, in this situation and growth, going forward when the market will be scaling up?
Right. So we like to think that we are, always kind of ahead of the game, and we have a very strong leadership in these spaces because we've got 30 years of experience behind us. We celebrated our anniversary last year, so there's a massive experience that allows us to stay ahead of customer requirements and the types of threats you have out there, which are getting more and more sophisticated with advanced persistent threats and so on. And so, I'll give you an example on the authentication space that you just mentioned. Not only are we leading the Gartner, there's also reasons behind that, and other analyst reports as well. It's because we offer it in a more advanced way, where you have management by exception. You don't need to administer our platform anymore. You don't need to have a dedicated admin for it. It can be delivered as a service from the cloud, which can be the SafeNet cloud, or more likely in the region, a local service provider, offering that as a service and not just the old-fashioned way on-premise as a server, with extensive customizability and so on. On the other hand, we have also up to 400 integrations with third-party vendors, which we like to call technology partners, which are more than 200 of those, with more than 400 integrations with more than 200 vendors. That is tremendous. What does that mean? It means that what we do is needed by the whole IT community from a vendor perspective to complete what they do. Why? Because everyone's realized with all those data breaches that perimeter security isn't enough anymore. You need to have a more data-centric approach. So all major IT vendors nowadays have some sort of encryption-based offering as part of their products, and therefore they use keys as well. And you need to manage that. They don't have solutions to manage that crypto management or key management aspect. We do. So, we've been part of the Oasis committee now for quite some time as part of the key management interoperability protocol initiative, being now used by all these other major IT firms out there. And so we partner with a lot of vendors, and that makes SafeNet a critical component as an anchor of trust of any enterprise organizations to bring that central management aspect to all these SafeNet or non-SafeNet solutions they might use that do use and consume keys because they offer some kind of encryption type data security, data-centric security.